the Academic Committee of the 2009 Share Convention, it's a pleasure for me to introduce you to Catherine Curtis. Catherine Curtis graduated from Tel College in Michigan as a Bachelor in Liberal Arts with a major in Spanish language and literature and a minor in English language and literature. She also studied for a short period of 7 months at the Universidad de San Francisco in Quito, Ecuador. She's currently on a Fulbright scholarship in Buenos Aires, where she's an assistant teacher in the area of language at Escuela Normal Superior en Lenguas Vivas. Her current research focus is Lumpardo and its effects on the Porteño identity. With you then, Catherine Curtis.
Well, before I start, I want to say a big thank you to everybody at the Share Conference. This invitation to come speak here was a surprise for me, and so I feel very fortunate to be here. I also feel very fortunate to be in Argentina. I don't know if anybody is familiar with the Fulbright Scholarship Program, but 2.5 years ago, I applied to come to Argentina. So this has been a dream in the making for me. And it's wonderful to be here and to have the experience to speak Spanish every day and learn more about your culture. So thank you for having me, and thank you for having me in Argentina. I'm going to talk today about literary and cultural appreciation of song lyrics. I'm going to give you a brief outline of what I'll talk about. Generally, what makes a good language lesson, in my opinion. Why jazz? Then I'll go into a lesson that I tend to give on Billie Holiday, and finally I'll finish up with additional information on jazz resources that you can use in your classroom, and how to do different video downloads from YouTube and convert it to DVDs. Again, I'm going to present myself a little bit more. I'm on a Fulbright scholarship here, and I'm studying Lumpardo and other different aspects of Argentine culture. And I'm not actually an English teacher. I was reading a little blurb in the Share pamphlet that said that everybody is an English teacher that's talking about English, and I'm actually not. So everything that I've been learning in the classroom and my work as a language assistant in the classroom has been things that I've learned from the teachers, from the professors, and things that I've learned while I've been here. So it's been sometimes very overwhelming for me, but it's been such a great learning process for me, and I've learned so much more from our students and from our professors in the past 6 months than I think I could have ever learned really in any kind of formal education setting. But with that being said, everything I do is on the fly. On the fly means you kind of do things, you put things together as you go. And this is a picture of me in the salt flats in northern Argentina. So I often feel that my feet are off the ground. I'm jumping in the air and just seeing where I land. So that being said, realize that I'm not a professional English teacher, and my role is more as a cultural liaison in the classroom. Okay, what makes a good lesson? Obviously not this one. When I was in high school, I didn't really like Spanish. I had a teacher that wasn't really interested in teaching Spanish. I think he was older, probably about to retire. And we would always get out of class early. We learned the same things every year. I never felt that I was really inspired to learn. Then I got to college, and I had a wonderful professor whom I will never forget, named Cynthia Carosella. And Mrs. Carosella lived 10 years in Colombia, and so she brought a whole other perspective to her lesson, and she really got all of her students so excited about learning Spanish. She talked a lot about her experiences in Colombia. She brought in a lot of different literature that I'd never heard about before. She brought in music, and more than anything, she really encouraged an exchange with us. We could tell that she was bringing part of her heart and soul to the classroom, talking about things that she'd experienced, things that were obviously important to her. And so we felt as students that we were enabled to open up as well. And so we were able to bring in things that were important to us, or bring in articles that we found in the newspaper that related to Latin American politics or history that were important to us. And that way the classroom was less static and more dynamic. and we were active participants in the classroom. And ever since then, I fell in love with Spanish. And so I try to remind myself of that every single time I give a class, and ask myself, is this really going to inspire something, either relationship between me and my students, or further and more profound thought. So obviously, in my opinion, what makes a good lesson is something that introduces new vocabulary and repeats that vocabulary so the student remembers it, of course, and an opportunity to use that new vocabulary through listening, written, and oral activities. Something that challenges stereotypes. I always think back to my professor, Mrs. Carosella, because I had a stereotype, I had an idea of what Colombia was like, and she changed that image for me drastically, and encouraged me to always question those stereotypes that maybe we carry with us. And it's something, of course, that inspires deeper thought among your students. And finally, the exchange, something that's culturally and personally important to you that you share with someone, and then you listen to what they have to bring to the table as well. Why jazz? In terms of vocabulary, obviously when you listen to a jazz song, you're introducing new vocabulary to the lyrics. Similarly, if you're listening to the song repeatedly, the student has the additional practice, if they like the song, of listening to it often, and you can structure different activities with the lyrics, which I will show later.